All Century 21 real estate offices are independently owned and operated.
Hi, I'm Jackie Ruddy, broker of Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. Welcome to the Real Estate Roundtable on 94.3 FM The Talker. I'm here with my co-host, fellow realtor, husband, Pat Devaney.
Good morning, Jackie. How are you today?
You're very lively this morning.
Yeah,
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good.
We have with us Megan Passamato and Andrew Planey, co-owners of On and On in Scranton and also Scranton Cleanouts. Hello.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here with us, guys. We're here every Saturday at 11 a.m., Sunday at 11:30 a.m., where we talk real estate. We have a full-time real estate office with many experienced realtors. We've been listing, selling, and appraising real estate for 50 years.
During the week, feel free to email us with any questions you have at questions@jruddy.com. That's questions@jruddy.com. Or you can give us a call at 570-344-6724. And when you go to jruddy.com, click on the webcam tab. We got a new high-definition 4K camera up on the roof, getting you a nice view of Dunmore Corners. So
a quality picture.
Yes, a quality picture of whatever the weather may be.
Look us up on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube. Also, view our listings, search the MLS listings, and listen to archive radio shows by going to mobilefriendlyjruddy.com, JRUDDY.com, where we also have all the popular podcast apps. We feature our real estate radio show on podcasts, if that's what you like to do. Okay, Megan Passamato and Andrew Planey, co-owners of On and On in Scranton and also Scranton Cleanouts. Please tell me about your businesses.
Okay, so On and On is a vintage handmade.
You got to get closer.
Oh, I got to get closer. Sorry. Better? Okay. On and On is a vintage handmade and repurposed marketplace located on Caphouse Avenue in Scranton, right next door to National Bakery. And we've started that. We've been at that location for about 4 years now. And we started in downtown Scranton 2 years before that, before we bought the building. Scranton Cleanouts is an offshoot of On and On. And Andrew can explain a little bit about what we do with that.
Well, before we actually started this business, we were actually realtors working with Century 21. And we saw that there was a need with a lot of the homes that were selling or estates that were taking over a property, that the house was full of things, a lot of good things that could be reused by other people, could be sold, but we saw that they were just going into landfills. With our shop, we know, since we do sell vintage, we know that these things can find a new home. So we started the business of Scranton Cleanouts to help people take some of the stuff that they have in their home that they no longer want and help them get it into new homes.
So you, at your shop, On and On, you only have vintage items, or do you have antique items? What are the definitions? What's the difference? How does someone know?
Sure. So we have vintage and antique and handmade. But vintage, in our definition, it's got to be at least 25 years old, which isn't really that old. We've just kind of go over this all the time. It's getting newer all the time, it seems like, right, Andrew?
Yes. It's our definition of vintage is 25 years or older. So you're talking 1996 or older. So it's funny because a lot of people say, oh, is it antique? Antique is really, the definition is 100 years old. So you're talking about things from the mid to, going into the late 90s now is considered vintage.
Okay, so do you have furnishings or items?
Yes, we have
both.
Yes. Housewares, decorative stuff, furniture, clothing, vintage clothing from the 90s and before.
Do you sell the clothing?
Sure.
Oh, we sell a lot of clothing. 80s mom jeans, huge.
Huge. Who buys these things?
Teenagers.
Really?
College students. Yeah. We sell so many of them.
Concert T-shirts, old school shirts, like something that you would have gotten in high school, like that says, when did you go to high school, Jackie? In the
We're not going to
90s?
talk about that. No.
So if it's,
the decade before.
Dunmore Bucks, 1989, something or other, it's something the younger generation would like to have. And It's great.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's what we would see with Scranton cleanouts before we started doing this. There are companies out there that will go into your house and clean out the house, but usually everything's going into the landfill.
Right.
So
What a sin.
Yeah.
and people don't know what's valuable or not.
That's the other thing. Because I know we used to have an auctioneer that came in and they're no longer in business. And they would say, let us come in before you touch anything. Let us go through your drawers, because people watch TV shows. I don't know about your business, but in real estate, they watch the real estate shows and they I don't know how to word this. They think that they know something.
Yes, I saw the Antique Roadshow one time. So my vintage sewing machine is worth $50,000.
Did you ever hear of anything like that before?
Yes. And that's what we get calls for Scranton cleanouts. And that's one of the first questions I ask. Have you started cleaning anything out? And if they said, well, we've had 3 or 4 dumpsters here already, we're thinking, it's going to cost them a lot more for us to finish the clean out. Because what we do is we go in and we look at everything. And it's the things in the drawers are what's worth something. The things that grandma socked away and nobody's touched in years. The up in the attic, there's vintage Christmas decorations that they don't use anymore. Those are the things. Grandma's china that they prized in the china cabinet, nobody buys china anymore. It's sad. The sewing machines, everybody saved their sewing machines. And some people can repurpose them, but nobody really buys those anymore. So it's sad. And like the china where I know each place setting was so much money, and we put it out on the floor and
Doesn't move.
it does not move at all. No.
So, and we used to hear like the pianos. People think the piano is something that they could resell at a high price, or dining room suits. There isn't really a market for those items.
No. I mean, dining room, yeah, people say I have the huge hutch and all the pieces and the dining. I mean, some tables, people do buy some tables, but nobody wants sets of anything anymore. Even it goes with bedrooms. They'll buy a dresser here and there. People don't want vintage beds because they're too small. They didn't even have queen size beds. So that it's a weird thing. And the prized family possessions aren't always what has value.
Yeah, we had an old crib that yours truly slept in, and all my siblings and the grandchildren, and with a beautiful canopy. And I sent you a picture. Not interested. I was very surprised, but I know that the safety, the
Yes.
rails weren't up
And
to code.
It seems to be that was another thing that people held on to. Cribs, because they're like, I would give that to my kids or my grandkids. We slept in them. And then new parents come along and they're like, well, I have to get the newest, and there are rules and things like that. So, and that's, people watch the shows and they get an idea and they look through their house and they're like, oh, I have one of those, or I have one of those. It's a lot of the little things that have value, but it's not a lot of value, but it adds up. It adds up, and it's something that normally, like I said, it would be thrown in the trash. So we can get in there, go through all those. It's a process, but you're saving the environment and you're, hopefully making a little money.
Yeah, we had a garage, your mother's garage, and I was going through, they had built like this workbench with, drawers in them and everything, and in the 30s or the 40s. And when I was taking it out, I was disassembling it. The drawers were dynamite boxes.
Right.
It was so cool. So I took out, be careful, nitroglycerin and this and that. But stuff like that, I mean, people would just take it and smash it up. Yeah, it is pretty cool. Yeah. I'd like it in my garage, but not maybe some dynamite. Can you get me some of that?
That's exactly right, Pat. It's the things that people didn't save. Those are the things that add the most value. I don't know if it was in the 80s, they started making everything and putting collectible on it. And those things aren't collectible. No. It's the things that weren't, like, we have a vendor who has a lot of sports memorabilia, and he has Wheaties boxes from like the 80s. Who saved those? But that's why they're worth some money now.
What about old games? We used to play board games back in the day, right? When I was growing up, at least. Maybe not you, Andrew, and certainly not you, Megan.
Well,
but
thanks, Jackie.
Is there any value in those? Star Wars has been around forever. What about the little guys or Transformers?
Right. Yeah, things that people played with as a kid, they have the value. It's funny, we've been doing this for 7 years now, and we've seen kind of the highs and lows of stuff. Like when we first got into it, trains, Lionel trains, they were a lot bigger. I think everybody who wanted Lionel trains has the Lionel trains. The value has kind of dropped in those kind of things. But you look at the Star Wars figures, especially the earlier ones, nobody collected those. They played with them. They broke off the arms. They threw them away. Skateboards. That was something that I was into. Nobody collected skateboards. They rode their skateboards. They got all broken up. They threw them away. Those kinds of things still maintain their value and are going up. You talked about games. Some of the board games have some value. I don't know how many board games you have that still have all the pieces, because they usually had 100 of them. But if you look at the beginning of video games, the older video games, people didn't save as many of those, but now the value of those is going up and up because those generations are getting older who played those, and now they're working more, getting some money. They can afford to pay more, so they're going up in value.
And they're the people that are collecting now and buying things now. The people who were doing the Lionel trains, they're not anymore.
Yeah. So what about? So I noticed with board games, like from when I was a child to compared to when Patrick, we would buy a few, not many, but even the little pieces in the game are different. It's all plastic now, whereas when I grew up, it was like wooden pieces. Mm-hmm. There's a difference there. So I'm sure there's
definitely, yeah. There's,
and it's funny. Last year, everybody was watching. What was the show where they played chess? The Queen's Gambit.
Okay.
You couldn't find a chessboard. Everybody was calling us all the time. They wanted chessboards. And then this year we got a couple of them. They went immediately. So you just never know what's going to become popular. And then all of a sudden, everybody is all over trying to buy.
Do you know how to play chess, Pat?
Actually, I do. My son is in the chess club, and we bought at Savo's, the auctioneers, about 20 years ago. He had a really nice chessboard that I bought. It folded up and it had backgammon inside and all the pieces.
None of the plastic stuff.
No,
wood.
It's heavy, and it's really high quality stuff. So I do know how to play chess. And my son is he's like the best player on the chess team at school. Well, he's number two,
awesome.
number one and number two, and he plays me now. He goes, "What the heck are you doing?"
So our dining room.
I said it's a very rare strategy.
Our dining room table used to house the Legos. Just every inch of it would be a Lego, right? So he would do his Lego projects. Now it's the chessboard. It's open, and
I would say don't get rid of those Legos. Put
no,
those in
we
a box,
have. Yeah, we do. Well, I did donate a couple boxes to our school a couple years back. They were looking for that. But the ones that he made, I do have them all saved. Yeah. Okay. What about records? Are they valuable? Not valuable. I would think that someone should just throw those out.
Don't throw away records. Well, don't throw away all the records. People want, 70s, 80s music, rock music. The Frank Sinatra, they don't want. The big band music.
That's not totally true. It's
what I see selling.
I don't throw away anything. If you're a record person, collect your records. There's of course going to be more valuable records than others. And there's going to be a different calling. Like Megan said about the show that came out, we don't know what show is going to come out next. It could be a show about Frank Sinatra be hugely popular, or what's the one, the Tijuana Brass?
Herb
Albert and the Tijuana Brass. Not very popular. It seems like there's 100 records out there, but next thing you know, there might be a Netflix show or a show, and then become wildly popular. So,
but records have made a resurgence. That we don't personally want to listen to records because, it's just
we lived
easy
with records.
Yeah, and it's just easier to find something on your phone and hook it up to your speaker and play it. But teenagers who didn't live with records, 20-year-olds who it's a novelty, they're the same people that buy vintage typewriters. They are into it and they
What are
collect
they
them.
doing with these typewriters? Do they even know how to use them? Or is it just like a piece that collects dust?
We had a funny story. A friend of ours, he saw that a lot of people were buying typewriters, and he goes into a coffee shop the other day, and there's somebody who just bought a typewriter from our shop in the coffee shop, banging away at the keys, typing, drinking their coffee.
Really?
Yeah,
Yes.
she bought one, and then a couple of her friends came in and bought them, and they're all in there clanking away at their typewriters.
That's great. I love it. So I'm thinking about telephones, and then you go into somebody's house to sell it, and it's their parents' home, and they still have the telephones, the French phones, or the rotary, and then. Is there a market for that, or are they just junk?
I'm not saying that they're hugely
Popular.
Well, people will buy them. Yes, I wouldn't throw them away.
Well, the phones that they have now are a lot different, but with the old phones, like the rotary, like Pat was saying, you can't use that to call out anymore because it's all digital, but it will ring and you can answer it. So they're still usable if you're using like a digital phone line through your internet. They will ring and you can answer it. You just can't dial out. So good luck.
Yeah.
But yes, especially the ones that are pink or turquoise
what
blue, things like that.
Yeah, I would
people
think
want them. They have a vintage kitchen. They've got a vintage powder room. That just goes with everything. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. And you have them at your shop sometimes?
Sometimes.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right. So
I'm not allowed to go into the shop because
true.
I always come out with stuff.
he does.
I go in there, I go, wow, I really need that.
You do.
And I don't need anything.
It's so fascinating just to walk around and just to say
How many square feet is your place? Thousands.
About 6,000.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And you have different vendors who sell different items.
Yes, we've got about 60 different artists and vendors in the shop. So most of the shop are vintage vendors, and they've got like 10 by 10 spaces, and they set up their own little shop within our shop. But then we also have a section of handmade artists too that have smaller spaces.
Right. And that section is when you first walk in.
When you first walk in.
And it's all stuff, it's scarves, jewelry, things like that.
Yeah, pottery.
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
Good gifts.
Very good gifts. If you need a great idea, stop down on, and it's on Capouse Avenue next to National Bakery. Megan Pasamato and Andrew Planey are our guests today. Before we go to break, Pat, would you like to review a listing?
Yes, we have a 3-bedroom home. This is an antique. All right. We have a 3-bedroom home. It's at 2260 Port Royal Road in Newton Township for $189,000. This home, it's a blank slate, and it's in need of some TLC, but it sits on 4 level acres of land with wonderful views of West Mountain. This home has a detached 2-car garage and plenty of space to grow. This house was built in 1870, so it's definitely an antique, and it still has the original wide plank flooring along with the brand new septic system. That's a 3-bedroom home with 4 acres of land and a 2-car garage at 2260 Port Royal Road for $189,000, and that's listed by Gail Lewis of our office.
Thank you, Pat. Megan or Andrew, would you please give me the contact information for Scranton Cleanouts? I mean, this is the time when people are thinking about getting their house ready for to list it, to put it on the market, to sell it. And your services would be, I'm sure, a godsend to them. Scranton Cleanouts?
So you can find us on the internet at scrantoncleanouts.com. And you can also give us a call at 570-591-1582.
Thank you so much. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate on 94.3 FM The Talker.
The talented team of professionals at Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. They're not just real estate agents, they're agents of change. They're on a never-ending quest for the best for you and your family. They can help you find precisely what you want at this time in your life. A computer, a website, an app, and a listing by itself can't do that. They're obsessed with better and deliver extraordinary, embracing the what if, not just the what's been done before, with a level of accountability and honesty not found anywhere else in the real estate industry. Don't settle for average, okay, or just all right. This change in your life is monumental, and there's only one Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate that will help you rock that change. Call 570-344-6724 and visit jruddy.com, JRUDDY.com. Each Century 21 office is independently owned and operated.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. I'm Jackie Ruddy, broker, and with Pat Devaney, my husband, fellow realtor.
And we're back.
We are back with Megan Pasamato and Andrew Planey, previous realtors with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. I really miss you guys. You're going to come back?
We miss you too. We're just really busy with our other businesses.
Yes, I know. They are very, very busy because they are co-owners of On and Scranton Cleanouts. And someday in the future, you will have another business. We won't say what it is. It's a surprise, right?
Surprise.
All right. I will be invited, though, to the grand opening?
Of course.
All right. Okay. And then we'll announce it on the radio. How does that sound?
Awesome.
All right. So at the beginning of the show, we're talking about On and how it's 6,000 square feet of warehouse space. You have vendors. You have 60 vendors.
Yes.
And you sell a lot of vintage pieces, sometimes antique pieces, some furnishings, clothing, and even some new stuff that the artists in the front of the store, some jewelry, some scarves, purses that you make.
Yes.
Right? And then other items as they relate to Scranton and the history of Scranton.
It's really nice having the amount of vendors that we do have because everybody looks for different things when they're out. Like everybody asks us, where do we get all this stuff? And our vendors go out to estate sales. They go out to flea markets. They, go through their own houses, their friends' houses. I don't know where they get everything, but it's a good different mismatch or a hodgepodge of different things. We have some people that are selling what we call primitives. Those are things from maybe the early 1900s. Then we have other people who are selling more mid-century things from the 50s and 60s. And now, like I said, with vintage being from the 90s, we have people that are bringing stuff from the 80s and the 90s. The toys, the clothes, like you said, the records. So it's a good mixture of all kinds of different things. I would say if someone hasn't been there to come down and just take a walk through, take a look, and it's walking down memory lane.
It is a museum.
Yes.
I like it. It is how many floors? 2 floors.
2 floors.
And it's full.
Yes. We wish we had more space.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. But there's every inch of it's covered, and it's just, I'm sure there's a lot that I miss on a walkthrough because there's a lot to take in.
That's what we always tell people. You got to look up, you got to look under things, because all of a sudden, and even if you go the opposite direction and walk around again, you see things you didn't notice the first time.
I would think. All right, so The Office, which was a popular program, TV show on, and one of the things you like to say that you're on Kapow's Avenue next to National Bakery, but you also have something on the side of your building that you cannot miss when you're driving from downtown Scranton, right up Kapow's Avenue towards the Greenridge section.
Yes.
We have a big
Dwight Schrute head, a mural on the side of our building, and was Andrew's idea, Scranton, we get people all the time coming in from out of town that are here to see Scranton because it was on The Office. And we were shut down during the pandemic, and one of our artists, he's an awesome, really finely trained artist, Andrew approached him about doing a mural on the side of our building.
Mike Travato.
And he was like, sure, I'll give it a shot. I've never done that before.
And so we were thinking we have this 10-foot or 12-foot by 15-foot space. We just asked somebody to go and do something on there that he's never done before. So we're like, how's this going to work out? What is it going to look like? It came out great. And Megan's right. People come out from all over the place.
All over
from
the country.
From other parts of the world
Yeah.
to come to see Scranton because of this show. Megan and I are not originally from this area. We're transplant here back in, I guess, 2000, around there. And people inside of Scranton, they're just like, it's just a show. I don't understand.
Not on anymore. I
It's
don't get what it is.
I don't get why people like it, but outside the area, people love it. It's hugely popular, and it's not slowing down. So, yeah, that was a good idea, and we're glad we did that.
Yeah.
People come and have their picture taken.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah, there was a guy, he's a friend of mine, a kid I went to grammar school with. He's in Maryland. And somehow your mural came up in his feed, and we had a Century 21 banner next to it. We had the ad there. And he goes, oh, you guys are famous. You're in Scranton next to this guy. I was like, oh, okay.
We'll be back up there someday, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. But yeah, so that's a big attraction. So people come to Scranton. What do they say about Scranton? Are they happy they made the trip? Do they come back?
Oh, I don't know how much you know about the show, but there's probably a handful of spots that were featured on the show that was on for 10 or 11 years. But we weren't, of course, on the show. We weren't, part of Scranton when the show was taped, but we've now become one of the stops for these people. They go to Cooper's Seafood, they go to Antonio's Pizza, they go to
Pen Paper,
which is right down the street from us. It's great. I mean, it's an asset to the Scranton area.
Well, we did something like this. We did a Sopranos tour in back when the Sopranos was big and it was winding down. We did a bus tour. Mm-hmm. We went out and we hit all those.
You know what I remember? The Bada Bing.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
That was the last stop.
That was fun.
That was the last stop on it. I'm like, do I have to go in? It was named something completely different, but it was interesting to see because they showed the poles that the signs sat on and the highway, the setting, and they showed how the camera shot for the Bada Bing sign was actually lower than the real sign because it was named something else. I don't recall what, but fascinating stuff.
And it really helps bring people into the shop. And like you were saying, we have these vendors, different artists that sell their wares. So the people might come in because of the office, but they're staying, they're buying stuff. We always say, go to Cooper's, try that. It's great.
Good.
Yeah.
Great. Good stuff. Megan Pasamato and Andrew Planey, co-owners of On and Scranton Cleanouts. Can we have your contact information, please?
Sure. Scranton Cleanouts can be found at scrantoncleanouts.com, and it's 570-591-1582. And On can be found at 1138 Caphouse Ave in Scranton, right next door to National Bakery. We're a big old industrial building with Dwight Schrute on the side. You can't miss us.
And you have an old antique car in the front too, right?
Correct.
All right. And you can identify that building easily. I would like to make an announcement. Anthony Fletcher, we welcome him. He's the latest addition to our office. He's a resident of Dunmore for the past 21 years. Anthony knows the values that the citizens who live in our area hold. He understands loving where you live also means loving your home. Prior to obtaining a real estate license, Anthony studied finance at the University of Scranton. He has experience in customer service. Anthony will be able to help a stressful situation feel easy. He prides himself on communicating with his clients and building a positive relationship with them that will last beyond the sale. He possesses a complex understanding of the housing market. He'll use that knowledge for the greater good of his clients. He's a savvy investor, and he also knows the strategic thinking that goes into buying a property, and that will help produce strong cash flow for years to come.
Yeah, he's a nice young man. We've got high hopes for this guy.
He has his ultimate goal in the industry is to make both buyers and sellers feel confident in their decisions, and he's looking to help people buy or sell property, and he wants to help people achieve their goals.
Yeah, welcome, Anthony.
Welcome, Anthony Fletcher. Very nice young man. We're out of time. Thanks for joining the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. Remember to tune in next Saturday at 11 a.m. Sunday at 11:30 a.m. on 94.3 FM The Talker.